Well, hello, everybody. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all you Australians. And I'm really happy to have you all here. And I see that we've got a few Yanks in the chat room as well. You guys should have been sleeping. But anyway, happy to have you all here. Happy Friday. I hope that you are all having or have all had a beautiful week and looking forward to your weekend. So really happy to have with me again the awesome Joanne Breeze from way down under. And for those of you been following this channel for a while, you know that I've spoken to a lot of Aussies in the years that I've been doing this. And I always maintain with Australia, and I don't want to say it's any worse than anywhere else because I don't think it is. I think every place has its horrors, but for me, it's just been quite a. I've had to wrap my head around the fact that it's so out in the open there down under, right? And so many atrocities, and the whole system there seems to be so rigged, right? It's rigged for these types of things. So, but very happy to have with me Joanne again. We've had you on once before where you started sharing your story. And I must say, quite a shocking story as well. And I want to just recap a little bit and we can just take it from there to where you feel comfortable. Where as a child born into this disgusting Luciferian cult, from family, extended family, etc., parents, child hunting. You've been in a child hunt. The thing that really shocked me that I still think about is when we spoke about the kids that didn't make it were fed to the pigs afterwards. I mean, that to me are every person I speak to, I have to say something new comes up and that I just shake my head in dismay. But anyway, our thoughts are with all of those who met their demise in that way as well. So, Joanne, happy to have you back. And I know you've lost one of your precious little creatures that you, and of course now, Joanne, what's beautiful, the thing I really love is that Joanne has a healing, well, I call it a healing sanctuary, an animal sanctuary, specifically working with the kangaroos, the joeys, which is really amazing. But of course, every other animal as well. And animals become a huge part of your healing journey, which I can completely 1,000,000,000% relate to. So welcome back, Joanne. It's so good to have you. How are you doing and how have the past 2 weeks been for you?
Hello, and thank you for having me back again. Yes, I have been a bit teary. As I've said to you, we've lost one of our little birds we rescued, and it touches me very, very much. I've also, part of myself is my body has a defense mechanism, and with my sharing, the last 2 weeks have been my face. I don't know, you can probably see there's all scarring here, and there was some down here. My face broke out in 3 places, but there was no subsiding it. There was no fixing it. It was just hard lumps that came up. And as the skin dies around that lump and the lump slowly goes down over me grieving, because it brought up a lot of memories and feelings. You think you're over them. Excuse me, that's my little dog. She just wanted to bark.
Oh, good.
As it starts to heal, and I can only use collateral silver on them, nothing else will cure them, and they'll slowly go down as I grieve and release what I've shared and the feelings associated. So right. I'm still getting over that, so please just understand that is part of being from that abuse, that it builds up in your body. It doesn't matter how old you get. It continually builds up. And as you actually start talking and releasing and accepting and going through that process, because at times even I think to myself and say to myself, no, I'm not, I don't want to remember. No, I don't want to go through this. No, I don't want to. Well, when I do that, my face or any other part of my body, and it can depend on where the trauma is sitting in my body because of the experience that I had gone through. That determines where this trauma will come out. So it's very interesting. So when it comes down to like the absolute sexual, debauched, ritualistic abuse, it's always genital. And you still got to go through that process for any part of that body. The reason it came to my face is because it's because I told some of my story out loud, and I'm exposing me.
Yeah. You know, I want to just say on that note, sorry, carry on.
I'm just saying that's a part of what the healing process is. You see, only when you let it out and let out that emotion can your body no longer hold it.
Absolutely.
And you must give it to Yeshua. You've got to, because without his love and strength, none of us could do it. I don't feel like a victim, I am not, but we were taught and told we were not allowed to feel, we had none unless we were told them. So now, even all this time later, I'm still learning and dealing with feelings and expressing them without fear. And then that's so integral to our healing, and to be able to share it. And what you've given is, you have no idea, Chantelle, what you've given. And I'm so grateful, even though I'm crying, because it's part of healing.
I have to say, I'm so grateful to you for the bravery that you show, sitting there and telling your story. And absolutely, it is so integral to healing.
It can't be
that
done
we share.
without it.
Exactly. And to talk, and as you say, you know, the body, I mean, I've been a healer for many years. And one thing I do know is how our traumas are trapped, literally trapped in the body. And when we don't speak out, and when we don't release, and when we don't share that with someone and bring it to the light, because what we're doing now is we're bringing it to the light. And if we don't bring it to the light, it stays there, and it literally, it's like cement in the cells of the body that keep us weighed down, whether it's emotional, spiritual, mental, physical, and probably all three, or all four rather. So I love that you have spoken about the face breaking out, and I'm watching because Caleb is in the chat as well. And I don't know if you've been watching, guys, if you've been watching Caleb shows. I mean, this is something on another level that he's been through. And he actually shared last night with the group that for the past few weeks, since also speaking and sharing, there's been these like black things coming out of his skin like lead. And as it comes out of his face, it dissolves, and it's going through every orifice in the body, through vomiting, through releasing everywhere. So what I see here is just so much healing occurring. And I love, and he's just saying, and I don't know if you can see the chat, and I hope you can, if you go onto the comments, because there's a lot of people commenting on what you're saying. And he's saying, I really needed to hear. So I think, you know, these are just beautiful stories that happen when we heal. And it takes so much courage for you to sit there and share your story. I totally get that. And as Charmaine is saying, there's healing. Tears cleanse the soul. You know, anyone who thinks, and this is part of the reason why they tell us we're not allowed to cry. And especially, I mean, I'm sure it was the same in Oz, especially in South Africa. Boys, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. You know,
You've got to.
so it really is so important that we can share these situations, because as I've said, your story gives others permission to tell theirs. And I just love that this past week as well, I've had a couple of people contact me and just speak off air with their stories as well. So again, I'm seeing a lot of people finding the bravery to speak up and share. And I want to just say thank you to you, and thank you to everyone. Caleb, thank you to you. Thank you to everyone who tells their story, because this is how we release. It's how we bring light. It's how we get rid of the darkness. And I know it's not easy. And I wish I could give you the biggest hug ever, but I know you can feel all the
I can
way.
feel you. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, absolutely. And I'm very appreciative. And I know all of that trauma is coming out of your body. It doesn't always feel good. It definitely doesn't feel good when it's being released. It's uncomfortable. It's painful. It's itchy. It's ugly. It brings up, it's like vomiting.
It is, but there's a refreshing and there's a renewal. So
Right.
it's really, really uncomfortable and it's not fun doing it. But then there's the light, there's the end, and you get peace and you can let that be. And you're renewed in so many ways. And I can walk outside and suddenly it feels like suddenly I'm alive because I've released it. And then the next time something else may happen. And it's the same process, but it's still that outcome. I don't know, I liken it a lot to when you're pregnant and you're going through it and, you know, it's 40 weeks and it's you know, it takes so long to hold that precious little darling, but then you got to go through the birth, the pain, but then
And
you're
that's so
holding that
sore.
precious. Yes. You know, so we're only doing it for our own benefit. But as you said, we were told we weren't allowed to. And boys certainly had to be, you know, don't you cry, that's a weakness and that's a wrong. My brothers went through that. And that's what destroys generation after generation. Because they've got the same feelings, they've got the same experience of feelings.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and that's, I work mainly even still today with men who have come out of abuse themselves. And they're the ones I work with a lot now. Because I had brothers and nobody was there for them. And there's always been these groups and support for women and children, but what about these men?
Right.
And that's, you know,
Absolutely.
they've got to be allowed their feelings too, just like we do.
Big time. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I
Yes.
must say, having said that, though, the greatest, the most men who've actually spoken up on this channel have definitely been Australian men, interestingly enough. Yeah,
Wow,
most
didn't know that.
definitely. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, that's...
And again, Caleb in the chat room, I know he's incredibly vulnerable when it comes to his journey as well, and also been through, literally been to hell and back now in the worst possible ways. So I'm very happy to have you guys on Team Ara, Aquarius Rising Africa, because we're a bunch of brave arts here, that's for sure. And again, I want to just thank you.
Wow. I don't know how to access the chat. I'm sorry, Chantelle. I have no idea at this stage. I'm actually going to, if you don't mind, ask my daughter-in-law to, she's an expert, to help me out with
the chat.
I need to see the chat as well as interact.
Okay, so if you can still type and they can still see you.
Oh, can they?
Yeah, it's just got coloured your screen a bit, that's all.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And when you want to go down, just press the X.
Thank you for your patience. Thank you. Thank you for your patience, everybody, because I really am computer illiterate. I'd rather be out in the gardens and with my animals.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Wonderful. Okay. Well, I'm grateful you can see the chat, because you can see that there's a lot of support coming in for you as well. It's really
Definitely.
good. Yeah.
So about 6 months before I turned 18, I was getting engaged to be married because I wanted out of my family, and I met a very, very, very nice man. And it was a Christmas time. We'd gone down to see my nana and my pop and uncles and whatnot down at Northam on the farm. And my sister had tried to kill herself about a week earlier because she had been abused by my father terribly, and I'd caught him doing so. So we decided, because the cruelty, like if we were outside, they'd lock the whole house up and we couldn't get in. They found so much fun in sadistic way of doing things. We decided to tell my nana, who was my mother's mother, who is my mother's mother. And she then told my mother. And my mother just looked at my sister and I and said, oh, she's been watching out for all these years, for this to be happening. Then she went and spoke to my father down in the paddocks, away from everybody, because they needed that. And she came back and announced that it was our fault and we were just being horrible because we didn't like the rules. So my nana, who's not blameless in anything, decided to send my sister, who was so abused. I was a lot safer by then, a lot safer. I was engaged, and my father would not take Tony on. She ended up sending my sister to Queensland just so she was out of his reach. But the whole family still supported my father and mother and told me that I still had to get married, but in the interim, I had to still live in that house with my parents. And of course, I didn't want to. it wasn't safe. And it was only about 2 weeks. I managed it until about 2 weeks before the wedding. And my father's a truck driver, I've told you that. And we had to come down this way to stay. And that's the day he tried again with me. But I always fought. I got hurt. There was injuries. But from that day on, I lived here at the farm where I live now, and only went back in time for the wedding and everybody to put on a really good face, because there was over 200 guests of religious Seventh-day Adventists, Salvation Army, Church of England, all invited. It was keeping up appearances. And it was to the point where my father didn't even iron his shirt for the wedding. That was his statement.
I want to ask you, just if you don't mind, while we're on right there, going back to your sister, you said she went to Queensland. They sent her to
That's
Queensland.
right.
Who did she go to in Queensland? Was she safe?
Well, she went to my father's sister. This is where I'm going with this. And while she was there, she was sleeping with the sister's eldest son. And it was all approved and okay.
So the cousin. So she
Going.
was sleeping
Yes.
with her cousin.
Yes.
So incest was really just the order of the day then.
Oh,
It wasn't
yeah.
even
No.
anything strange. How old was she at this point?
Probably about 17.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe a bit older actually, because I was going into 18. I forgot that. Yeah, because that was the actual, her party when she was 17 was, no, she was older. She was nearly 20 years old. Because then it was 2 years after that she got married to another guy she'd met over in Queensland while living there.
Right.
And she was still with my cousin. But this is their mentality. This is what, none of us think like that, do we? We don't think, right, we're going to get them out of the country because the father's molesting and is abusive. They send them to the father's sister, and straight away, their son, who was something like 26 at the time, Debbie was his toy, and she had to endure it, no matter what.
Was your nana from, I think you said it was your nana from your mom's side, right? Your mom's parents, were they involved with all of this abuse
Yes.
as well?
Oh,
So
yes, they were.
when you told them what was going on at home, I mean, what their reaction was? I mean,
You know what my nana's reaction was? She opened a packet of cigarettes and said, "Here, have a cigarette. You're going to need it." That's the reaction, Chantelle. I'm sorry, but they're not going to react or have, they are just who they are. There was no. They told Mum, they came to that conclusion. That was it. She sent Debbie away only to keep Debbie alive, because Debbie tried to kill herself driving off a bridge. And I think you're frozen. Chantelle's frozen. Yep, we've lost Chantelle. But we don't get normal reactions from these people. All they do is look after themselves and remove the problem so other people don't get to see it. And it doesn't become common knowledge and they don't get exposed. That's how they run their organisation of people and keep everybody in line through fear and just obedience. Blind obedience until you start growing up. But we've definitely lost Chantelle. Let's hope we get her back soon. But to go on and just give a little bit more about my childhood and growing up with the animals, which I've always said is my saving grace. And we had like all of, hello, you're back. Yeah,
Can
that's
you
okay.
believe it?
Yes, but that's okay. I've just sort of started talking about why the animals have been such a big part of my background and
Cool.
the fact that we do not get much reaction from these people. These people are only there to and designed to make sure they're never exposed. And if they are, there's no emotion involved. None. You look into a blank eye, so there's nothing. And they're just very, very meticulous on how they have us or any child or any person, even to adults they manipulate. But of course, so that nothing goes astray or astray, that they can be exposed. They will eliminate that problem, whether it be by death, putting into acid, because there's not much left, as I said last time we were talking. This is how they do it. And to send my sister away, get her out of this state, because too much was being said, too much was coming out, the problem went away with her. And they all covered it up. So you're not going to get emotion from them. They don't acted shocked or, oh my goodness, oh no, this has happened to you. They've all been a part of it. But the only reason we did so well, I guess you could say, was because that day the man I was to marry was there when we told Nana. So they had to act in some way, shape or form.
So the man you were marrying, then sounds like he was not involved in this kind of stuff at all. Thank God for that.
No,
So
no, he's a beautiful man. He really is. But he only found out about this a couple of weeks before we got married. And that makes him pretty damn special, I can tell you. You don't
yeah, you're
find
still
many
with
like
him.
Tony. Yeah.
That's very amazing.
He's a bit older now and he keeps telling me he's, falling apart at the seams and the aches and pains, but he's good. He really is, and he's so wonderful with these animals too. And he was a beautiful father. He still is, even though our children have grown now. And the
That's
grandkids
amazing.
are great. Yeah, so, but I think that's why my sister was sent away, because it was said and done in front of a person my father was never sure of. So that was pretty good that it happened that way. I think it was also orchestrated, because that way it could be having a better result than the abuse that would have followed and the beatings, and because that would have happened if we dare say something when if Tony hadn't been there at that stage. He was my saving grace, you know, and he said to me, even after he knew all this, he said, Joey, that's what he calls me, Joey. It was just, he's always called me that. He says, I do believe I was born just to love you. And I believe he was. Yeah.
Amazing.
He's a good man
Absolutely.
down to, yeah,
Yeah.
a blessing.
Amazing. God bless him. That's for sure. Wow. Really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, Joanne, quite a story. And I think it is amazing that the two of you are still married after all this time, because you don't often find that, you know, in these situations. You know, you might find that somebody would meet someone so that maybe you can take her out of that situation, but invariably, somewhere along the line, that all falls apart. And it's absolutely amazing and beautiful that he has.
See, when we were going through the courts, and because I did put my father in prison, that's another story for another podcast or another time. That was pretty harrowing. And when he had to sit through all the evidence that came out in the courts, he literally spent weeks and all the way back from the courts, Supreme Court in Perth, having to stop every few kilometres because he was throwing up. Because what he'd heard, really, he couldn't deal with it. And then later on, after I had my son, we had another experience that affected us. And that was, I went to help my sister, thinking, you know, she'd grown up, things had changed. But no, they hadn't. And I ended up being put into a mental hospital because when my husband came near me, because I was raped when I was down there trying to look after my sister and her two little girls, I couldn't see my husband. And that really affected us. All of it affected us. We didn't always have good times. No way. But what matters is, I think we understand each other more now. We still don't always get it right, because how can you? And we're still learning together. So even through the bad times, you don't hurt someone just because you can. You don't walk away just because you don't understand. That's where communication's so important. So,
Absolutely.
and I've got beautiful children, beautiful son-in-law, daughter-in-law, you know, grandchildren, all these beautiful animals in my gardens. And I've got so much that is so beautiful in my life. And we do. But it's not all been great sailing, but we got there.
Can I, and
Well, I
if you're
think
not ready to go there now, you're welcome to tell me. I want to just go back to when you went to look after your sister when she had her children. I'm going to ask you the first question. Have you, just like you've obviously broken that cycle of abuse and incest and all of that horrible stuff?
Yes.
Had she broken the cycle?
No. Again, as I said, I thought because we had grown up and we were adults and we were now out of that and we had families. I had my son and she had two daughters. I thought things would be different. And, well, we all did. So I travelled up to look after, she had to have a hysterectomy. So she asked me to look after her two little girls who were going to first grade and third grade, I think. And because I had the time to do it and I could do it, I did. And I thought we can establish this sister. Sisters should be friends, not, you know, hating each other and being played against each other. But I found out wrong when I was there. For the first week, it seemed to be fine, and I was quite happy to look after her when she came. She was out of hospital, and looked after her needs. Did the household stuff and walked the girls to school, and then walked to pick them up. And I had my little son Daniel in a pram, so I'd walk him in the pram to pick up his cousins, and it was really lovely. And then one day, I'd never ever worn anything but a normal nightie that buttoned up, nothing really provocative or anything like that. And then my sister had what she called a teddy. And I said to her, what the hell is a teddy, and how do you wear a teddy? Because a teddy is a teddy bear to me, and you hug it when you go to sleep. So she bought this little one-piece teddy, little outfit thing. It wasn't a teddy. It was just like it's lingerie, one piece. Right. And she said to me, Jo, why don't you try it on? You'd look nice in it. I said to her, I've never worn anything like that, never ever entered my mind. And so she, in the end, convinced me to try it on. And I tried it on, and I looked at myself and I said, oh, I don't know about this. You know, it feels a bit weird to me because I'd never ever tried anything like it. And she said to me, I'll tell you what, come into the bedroom. I've got a full-length mirror, and you can see it, and you'll be able to see that it really looks nice. And I said to her, oh, no. Your husband's in there asleep from night shift. I'm not going in your room. And anyway, after quite a bit of time, she kept going on about it, and then got me my arm and pulled me in there to have a look in the full-length mirror. So I had a look, but as I looked, her husband had stood up, or got up, raised up on the bed, got me from behind, and once again I was raped. So my sister had not changed. She is a perpetrator.
So she baited you basically, so that her husband could rape you.
Yes,
where was
they'd
she
already
when this was going
pre-organised
on?
it. She was there in that room. I'm screaming. She's laughing, and she's pleasuring herself. And I grabbed my son once I got away. I grabbed my son and I took their car because I didn't have a car. I went up on the train from Mandurah, and I just went. I just went for a drive with my son, and I cried and I held my son, and I came back the next day, got my stuff together. By that time I'd spoken to Tony, and I got a train back and I left. And that's when I got home, and within weeks it was Tony came near me and I would just scream. I couldn't see him. I could not see him. I could look at him and I could not see him. And I tried to take my life, Chantelle, because I could not believe it. And then I was put in a place called Naola, which is in Subiaco in Western Australia. And they lock you in. And I was in there for many weeks. And the only thing that actually brought me out of it was then when they brought my children to me. And that helped snap me out of it. It's the only thing that did. And then I started the healing. and going through and trying to deal with that. And when it came to, even though I'm skipping forward some years here, when it came to going and taking them to court, even my sister, I was told I'm either going to get my sister and my brother, or I'm going to get the one who did this to all of us. And I chose to get the one that did this to all of us. And I can never bring charges against my sister or my brother-in-law. And yes, they're not together now, because what actually happened and the result of what they did come back, and karma did get them. So that, wow, I haven't talked about that for years. But I came out of it slowly. And I put it, again, it's having that love of the Christ, having that as a young'un, and having that relationship, you know, because without it you can't stand, not when you're going through and your whole family is involved, and there's everybody you know around you is involved. There is no escaping. And no, she hadn't changed. Not at all. She lost her children.
I'm just going to backtrack again, because that to me just feels like something like that would have happened to her as a child or growing up. Was she like...
Oh, yes. Yes. And that was my mother and father. And I'd say that's why I'd never worn anything like that. But that was the repressed memories. To cope, you repress, you get out of your body. As I say, I like the ceiling.
So when you say your mother and father, are you saying that your mother baited her for your father?
Oh.
Is that what happened?
Yes, all the time. All the time. Because she always said, too, that it takes her or puts her pressure off her if he's with the daughters or the foster daughters. And that's exactly my mother's. My son met my parents at an age where he could see who they were and what they were and the sort of people they were. And if you don't mind, or I'm going to actually pass this to my son, his name is Daniel, because I need just a moment, please. And he can have a little hello and tell you a bit about my parents, which is his nana and pop, and what they were like. He's very, very stable, this beautiful son of mine. He's so beautiful. He even said to me, I'm an earth angel, and he's come to love me and show me and teach me what real love is. So this man is as special as his daddy is. I'll give you all the tips, but
no doubt about that. I'm so glad that you have such special men in your life. That's for sure. What's his name?
Yes, Daniel.
Daniel.
Yes, that's Chantelle.
Hello, Chantelle.
Daniel, it's so good to meet you. Thank you so much for popping in. And wow, what a story your mom has.
Oh, most definitely. She's definitely been through the battles, you could say.
Well, I think it's amazing that, as she says, you make no bones about the fact that you're an earth angel, and you've also just come to love her. And I think she's incredibly brave speaking up. And I would love to hear from you, as she was saying, what the situation was when you met your grandparents, who obviously had been such horrific perpetrators of abuse in her life when she was young.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. I don't remember when I first met them, but I just know that I've never really liked them, or I just got the heebie-jeebies from them in their what's the word I could use? Their aura or sense of people they were. They gave off that sort of vibe.
Yeah.
They weren't good people at all.
Right. Wow. How did you feel? I mean, how old were you when you met them? Let me just ask you that.
About 9 or 10-ish.
Right. So you were quite big already.
Mm.
And you knew. Wow, that's incredible that you actually knew.
They just definitely weren't good people, that's for sure. They just their vibe was all wrong.
Yeah. No, I mean, absolutely. Can you imagine doing the things that you do, that they've done to their children?
Well, exactly.
And
I
never,
mean, and then the fact is that then they wanted to pretty much get their children's forgiveness by trying to spoil all the grandchildren, which was just like they're trying to pay off their sins.
did you, I mean, were you aware from that age what they were about when you were younger?
Yeah, Mum made me and my sister pretty aware that they weren't to be trusted, and was always upfront with us and how they weren't really good people in that sense, and they could be quite abusive and whatnot, and just to be wary. So Mum was always upfront about that from day dot before we met them, when we first met them then. Because there was incidents when we were younger that we had to be pulled out of primary school because her father was prowling the streets, you could call it, or the roads or whatnot, and whatnot, because just sheer safety reasons.
Wow. Well, I just thank God that you guys have got an amazing father who has obviously helped her tremendously, and with you guys as well, helped you guys as well, and that you are who you are for her. What's she been like as a mum?
She has ups and downs, but she's a pretty good mum.
I'm sure she's more than just a pretty good mum. I'm sure she's an amazing woman.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
for her to have come through. Wow. Well, that's incredible. And I mean, I think what you guys have got there and what you've built there, and especially the healing with the animals, is quite
most
phenomenal.
definitely.
So, yeah. Well, thank you for being there for her, really. I think, you know, when one heals, that gives so many others permission to heal as well, right? And I mean,
exactly.
she could definitely not have done it without the love and support of her family, and especially men, right? I mean, it's such an
exactly. To build that trust and whatnot back up again after all that she's been through.
Yeah. Do you have kids?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Much to Mum's chagrin.
Well, we look forward to the day you have kids, and then we can see them as well.
No, exactly.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Is she ready to speak to us again?
Yep, no worries. I'll pass you back.
Thank you so much. Have a beautiful evening.
You too.
Hi, thank you for that. Just had to.
Well, thank you for that. Lovely to meet your son. And I'm just so happy that he's such a good guy. You know, really amazing. Yeah.
He certainly is. And my daughter's just as amazing. And she's, in June, she's due for her second little bundle of joy. She's got a little girl, Olivia, and we don't know the little boy's name. We know it's a boy. So we're eagerly awaiting his arrival, you know, and he'll be into a family that doesn't abuse. And that's a legacy to leave, break that cycle.
Absolutely. You know, wow. I mean, I can understand, you know, and please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I condone it or that it's right. But, you know, when someone has been through what you guys have been through in the way that you have, I'm not surprised your sister has perpetuated that cycle in her life. But it takes a phenomenal person to break it. That's for sure. It really, really does take a phenomenal person within the family to break it. And you are phenomenal. You absolutely are phenomenal.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you. I've been under a psychiatrist since years before I went to court, and he was so supportive. And it was a man. He was the first man I learnt to trust, other than Tony. And he went through every step with me, and I still see him from time to time today, and we catch up and have a chat. And he always said to me, Joanne, you're a remarkable woman. Now, when I get told these different things, to me, what I've lived has just been normal. So it's hard, I suppose, to think of myself as anything but just living it, getting through it, and now being able to share to help someone else get through it. But I am ungrateful if I can't take that on, and I've been told this by all my family, my son, my daughter, you know, and Tony. It's okay, you can take it on. You know, you're not useless, you're not repulsive, you're not all these different things. And what people are saying is true, because not everybody goes through it. And there is a different way, you know. So, I mean, I'll get better at it. I really will. And again, I say thank you. And if it helps one person, it's all been worth it. Every bit is worth it if it helps one person. And if it helps them come back
I think there's going to be a
to
lot
the
more
source of
than
love.
yeah, that's so true. You know, and it's so true what you're saying about the source of love. And I'm not going to badger you anymore for today. We've nearly hit an hour anyway. And I think you've been amazing in terms of what you've shared with us today. Absolutely shocking. There's no question around that. And I know that you have so much love inside of you. And yeah, Caleb is saying how much you've helped him as well, just through speaking your story. But I have a question. Yeah, someone is asking something completely off topic, really. Do you know Desmond Ford, who's a Aussie Seventh-day Adventist minister?
No, never heard that name.
All right.
And no.
Okay.
I mean, the Seventh-day Adventists, there's enough abuse in there on its own, you know. You got your scouting movement. No matter what the organisation is, they all have abuse.
Yeah.
They really
so
do.
True. That's so true.
But thank you. Yes, I'm ready to sort of say goodbye, and I'll be back in a couple of weeks. And thank you again for having me and letting me share.
And I so appreciate having you here today. We all do. And we're going to have you back again in 2 weeks' time
Absolutely.
to go further. And again, I want to remind you, all you Aussies there, that Joanne has a beautiful sanctuary where she takes care of rescue animals and the joeys, the kangaroos, who are great healing partners for her. So if there's any of you that would like to get in touch with Joanne, do you want to give me your number again or your contact details that I'm just going to put in the...
Okay. It's 0499 772 049.
Yeah, 77049.
Yes.
So
And
it's
just
0499772049.
yes, that is it.
Thanks.
Wonderful. And
Okay,
when you
guys.
do, just remember, please, that don't ring me. Don't ring me if I don't know your number. We take in rescue, so we get lots of different numbers. Just text in reference to Chantelle's show, and I will text you back, and we will then go from there.
Okay, I'm just going to say I'm giving the number, and just text Joanne, please, and mention Chantelle
Thank
show.
you.
And then if you guys want to arrange with her to meet the Joeys or whatever it is and everything. Love you, Joey Mama. That's from Caleb again.
Thank you, Caleb.
So,
and
yeah.
Caleb, you keep keeping on because you are a beautiful soul. And cry.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to just say thank you to everyone today. I think we're all feeling a little bit emotional right now, hearing this. It's so sad that our world has experienced things like this, and that our children have gone through what you've gone through, and that unfortunately your sister's children were also part of that. And the whole objective that we do these shows is, again, I always say, to bring this stuff to the light, because once we bring it and talk about it and share it, it is no longer in the dark. It is no longer like mushrooming under there and breeding in these dark places, because that's what this does. We know how moldiness perpetuates a moldy cycle. So bringing it into the light and into the sunlight heals it. It enables, and it's true what you said, Joanne, if one person heals through this, and because it's not just the one person, it's the whole, it's the energy, the generational offspring that goes along with that as well. It's, the ancestral line to follow from that one person as well,
A bit like dominoes, Chantelle.
Exactly. Exactly. You're right, Jessica. Let's all go create our own little neighborhood Bashanti. I would love it if everyone just came and hung out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I bring my ruse?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. You better bring those. And where are your baby kangaroos? Are they there again today? Are they around, or they're outside now?
Yes. No. They're in their little pouches. And if I don't know how to turn this camera. Hang on a minute. I might be able to. No, that just turns it off. By the time we speak in a couple of weeks, I'll have it set up so that I'm actually sitting with the kangaroos, and I'll do our broadcast from there with them all around. I think that would be lovely. And you can see them.
I would be like a kid in a candy store with all those kangaroos. Just want to be so cute. So cute. And I look forward to hearing some of the stories as well of the healing abilities. I wouldn't even say it's the ability, it's just the healing energy that they have, right? So I look forward to that. Okay, everybody. Wow. God bless you all. Thank you. And last night after the show with Caleb, I actually forgot to switch the live stream off. So I will try my best not to forget to switch the live stream off again. And I can't remember who it was, and because obviously there were still people in the chat, and because Caleb and I were talking a little bit, obviously after the show. So I was, don't swear, Shanti. And I was like, was I swearing? It's very probable or possible that I was, but I just hope that I wasn't. Okay, everybody. God bless you all. Have a beautiful weekend. And yes, it's a very emotional podcast we've just had. But wow, Joanne, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I want to say thank you for your raw and true sharing. Much, much appreciated. Okay, guys, take it easy. Have a beautiful weekend and so much love and good health and abundance to you all. I'll see you soon.